there was someone pointed me to a post on, is it Spectrum, the forum?
Mm-hmm.
I think the title of the post was, "Is Hyper-Realism going to kill Star Citizen?" And I thought it was interesting because I like for Hunt Showdown, you can jump into that game and get a satisfying experience out of like half an hour. Whereas Star Citizen, the post was basically, is it going to go too far in the hyper-realism direction? And like, I left a post and I sort of said, I don't want it to go too far because I don't want to have to invest 2 hours to get like satisfying gameplay. If I have to like have a shower and then go to the toilet and then fill up my ship and like all these things, and before I've even taken off, it takes me 2 hours to do something fun, then maybe it's like too much. I don't know what your thoughts on like hyper-realism and like Star Citizen, but for me, I would prefer it if I could jump in, spend 20 minutes and be like, cool, that was fun, I'm out.
Yeah, I have a lot of, I guess, ideas about it because like there's so many ways they could go with it. But one of the things that they've done recently, or rather they're doing for 318, is updating Arena Commander, right? The races. They've talked about how they want to rebuild the racetracks and add the snake pit. And that's something they were doing with the combat stuff last year, Arena Commander stuff as well. And it's something they've done with Star Marine. And they talk about Theaters of War possibly being a thing as well. So I see like these little modules that they have. And the way that they once explained that to us was that these modules were like video games in Star Citizen. So the idea would be you can go in Star Citizen, you have a long quantum jump. You could go into your sim pit, play a couple rounds of Star Marine. When you get out, you're done with your quantum travel. Of course, there are complications with that when it comes to like interdiction and stuff, but I've always wondered, would that be enough to like replace that immediate fun that you're talking about? If you could just jump into Star Citizen and then play like a dogfighting simulator, as opposed to jump into Star Citizen and go out into space and find bounties. Do you think that would be enough, or do you think they still need to make sure that there's casual play in the verse too?
Well, I guess like my response to the post was like, I'm just worried about it being too much. But if they've thought about it and they've come up with ideas, like you say, hey, you can now jump into Arena Commander for a while. Yeah, maybe that would be enough for me to be like, okay, cool. But the only thing for me is I don't want to have each play session be at least an hour. Otherwise, you can't play.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I've only got an hour, so I can't play Star Citizen. That would be really annoying.
Yeah, I get that. So. I agree with you there. Like, even if you're not doing the same thing every time you jump on, you want to do something fun. And I guess it comes down to like, what's fun? Are you like if you're a cargo hauler, are you cool with jumping in for an hour and spending that hour looking for the right job in the city and then getting that job and then loading your ship and then like signing off so you could take the trip later? Or do you want to do all of that in that 1 hour?
Yeah, I guess it kind of, the signing out of your ship and going to bed and like logging out, how that like on off, like if I can just log out and I reappear exactly where I was, none of this matters because you could just stop and start as much as you wanted, right? But the game doesn't work like that. You like at the moment, if you sign out, you end up in Habs and you have like a 5-minute trek to a spaceport. Like that aspect, if I can like reduce that, then now I would be okay with it. Like if I can, today I'm going to just set up my ship and then tomorrow I'm going to go do dogfighting or whatever. Like that would be cool.
Have you not logged out from a ship before?
Yeah, a couple of times, but it doesn't always work.
Yeah, it doesn't. I just didn't know if you knew that was like a feature that they're working on. Yeah, so I mean, that's supposedly the plan. And that's kind of what I was getting at is like how many chunks do you need of that mission? But it's a good question. Like the hyper-realism thing has been something that has gone back and forth since I've been around. I mean, people were constantly saying, is this going to be a space sim, like a hardcore space sim? Or is it going to be kind of more casual so more people can jump in? And I think actually as we've progressed, they've moved more casual in terms of...
Okay.
Yeah, in terms of some of the stuff.
As someone who's like recently jumped in and the way they talk, it came across to me at least that they were heading more realism. Like when I signed on, there wasn't hydration and stuff. And then on a recent patch, they kind of emphasize how often you have to drink, how often you have to eat. So from my perspective, it was like, okay, they're dialing that like realism thing up ever so slightly all the time.
Yeah, and I guess that's where it gets confusing, because they'll have these plans. So like we've known for years that we'll have thirst and hunger, that we'll have like a permanent death kind of situation. Not, I hate saying permanent death, but like the whole death of a spaceman mechanic and that kind of stuff. But then you don't actually know how far they're going to go until they actually get there. So like you said, they recently kind of dialed in that survival mechanics, but for all we know, they could dial it back again, you know, and make it a lot less survivally. So I never really know exactly where they're going with it, but they've always set this baseline, and it seems like they sort of stick to it. They want it to be pretty hardcore, but they want to make sure that people can jump in and play casually, as casual as you can play an MMO, I guess.
Would you want it? Are you one of the people that would want it hyper-realism, or are you quite happy with it being kind of a little bit casual as well?
It's kind of funny. I go back and forth. Like, I'll see one feature and I'm like, yeah, go super in depth with that. And then I'll see another feature and I'm like, no, please. And I guess that's actually kind of another thing I like about the game is like, I feel like this game won't work unless they build a bunch of stuff into it that we don't like, that like certain people don't like, you know? So I think a good like middle ground is good. For me, if they were doing the survival mechanics, I would prefer if they said food and water is like a buff. You know, you don't have to use it to survive, but if you don't use it, you're going to be running at a much lower level than other people. Your maximum capacity to carry stuff is lower. Your stamina is lower. You can't hold your breath as long. Stuff like that, I think, would make sense. But I'm not sure about, I don't eat for 3 hours and I'm dead. That's...
Okay, how about this for a feature? Like if you eat too many hot dogs, you just become fat. Is that too far?
It has the same
like you have to go to the gym.
Basically, you can overeat and undereat.
Exactly.
That'd be fun. That sounds like their medical system, right? How you like overdose when you take too much medicine.
Oh no, the armor store don't have XL. Damn it! Like they don't have the right suit size.
Yep, only an undersuit for you. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's that would be funny.